Well, I'm on earlier today, so I have a meeting at 9. Um, so I don't know how long I'll be able to be on here. We did have news today at 7:30, as you can see right there. Um, yep, there's your news. Um, so yeah, let's just mark our levels and then start taking some notes of pre taking our pre-market and our pre-market notes. Yeah, a lot less volume than yesterday. A lot less. So to start off, this is our low right there. Okay. And then our high is right here. Okay. All right, so let's talk about pre so pre-market we have in between 3 and 2, and then basically 3 and 1. All right, so let's get out our sticky note, our running sticky note tab, and let's take some notes. Okay, so today, Tuesday. Oh, it is the 13th. Okay, so first let's do our range. So I doubt within 10 minutes we're gonna make a new high. We could, you know what? Let's just pretend that we do. I'll just say PM range. Spelled range yesterday wrong. Range, and then we'll leave that blank. Okay, so CVD pre PM between 3 and 1 Ks decreasing as we come into 7:30 7:30 open. Okay. Um decreasing as we come into 7:30 open. Then CPI news at 7:30. Okay, so when news hits, let's move this over. So news hits, and then we have very low volume. Anything as low as 6, between 6 and the 1,000 after news full CVD drops to, oh look, we did. Okay, CVD drops to um what was I about to say? I don't remember. Okay, so after news, CVD drops to um low participation between 6 and 1K. Oh, wait, 5. Yeah, so we had a lot of volume, a decent amount of volume. Decent amount of volume, and then all of a sudden we get right before the open, right before our pre-market open, we're still holding decent in the 1000s. Okay, the 3K is increasing as we come into the open. After news drops, participation is low between 5 and as high as 1000. Okay, this is the high. Okay. Let's see where this compares to yesterday. So yesterday, we're literally sitting just above the high of yesterday. Yesterday, we pumped up, couldn't hold, obviously. And I think this is an all-time high. So now we're back at that same spot, sort of. Yeah. See what this is looking like. Hmm. Yeah, trading at all-time highs is not great. Not great. Just because if there's participation to push it higher, then there's gonna be. But if there's not, then there's just not. So, and that's where it's kind of in a weird spot because um I don't know, we're at an all-time high. So I'd be very curious to see where this goes, as is probably a lot of people, as are probably a lot of people. Hence, oops, I need that. Hence, you have, I mean, our participation is extremely low. And let's measure this range because we have 4 minutes. We could create another high. So our range is about 228. So let's type that out and also put it in our thing. Oops. Okay, so, oops. All right. So, I had an interesting dream last night. Let's talk about my dream. So, every time when I dream of trading, I always dream that I'm up thousands and thousands of dollars, literally ridiculous amounts. And then I like forget to hit, close out the position or something happens, but I always dream of being up a bunch of money. Well, last night I had a dream, and instead of dreaming I was up a bunch of money, I actually dreamt that I was watching for my setup. Like, that was the calmest dream about trading that I've ever had. It wasn't about the money, it was about the setup. And that's how I want to be. Honestly, I don't want to be dreaming about the money when I'm trading, and I don't want to be trading for the money also. I need to log into my thing. Um, but that also brought me to an important thing this morning. So I'm like, okay, if I'm 2 days above $50 away from getting a payout, right? Why would I sabotage that, right? Why would I sabotage that? What I could do instead is just reduce the size of my contracts and yeah, I could reduce the size of the contracts and then, okay, where we just opened, I could reduce the size of the contracts and then, yeah, just, just go for a little bit, just go for a little bit. Could I do that? Absolutely. Yes. The problem, the problem is if I change how I'm trading, like right now, if I were to change the way that I'm trading, what would happen is I would cement in the fact that I'm trading for the money, really, and I don't want to do that. Like, I do not want to do that. Um, hmm, yeah, I don't want to do that. I do not want to trade for, oh, just to get a quick payout. That's how you sabotage yourself. And I don't know, I don't want that to be me. That was me for so long, sabotaging myself in my trading. And I don't want to trade like that anymore. You know, that dream was a real eye opener in that um for so long I've just chased money, 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 and for once in my entire we're heading up on 2 years because I started back in I think February because I remember because we were in Florida. Yeah, we were in Florida, and I remember saying I'm gonna start trading when I get back. And so when we got back from Florida, so we went to Universal Studios. When we got back from Florida, that's when I was like, okay. So, and that we got back in because we left and went in February. So I've been trading since February. Yes, I was paper trading, but I've been trading since February. February. It is now, um, it's now January of the following year. So I'm almost to that 2 year mark. I'm surprised I lasted this long because there's a lot of things that I want to do in life and I just kind of dropped the ball. And for once, I haven't dropped the ball. And I'm surprised, honestly. But yeah, this has been such an incredible journey, but I sabotage myself along the way every single time. And I wonder to myself, like, why, why do I keep, losing? Why do I keep losing? And one issue I realized, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, I have an emotional trading problem. It's psychological. And I used to think, I don't have a psychological. That's not me, that's somebody else's problem. That's not my problem. But the truth is, it is my problem. Like, I have a my problem is in my head. Um, because, you know, I remember I used to trade with my brother, and he would trade and he'd blow accounts left and right, and he'd be like, I don't have a emotional trading problem. It's not a psychological problem, you know. Yeah, I just lost 40 grand in 2 days, but it's not a psychological problem. But the thing is, I kept telling him, I was like, you're FOMO trading. You're revenge trading. How do you think you don't have? And he's like, no, no, no. It's because I just don't have the right indicator. And yet I see this, I did the same thing, you know. I'd be like, I don't have an emotional trading problem. Meanwhile, I'm trading like one micro contract. And I remember I was in one micro. The trade ran up like 700 ticks. My computer crashed in the meantime, but the trade ran up like 700 ticks, and I'm just like, why? Why? Um, and that was completely an emotional, psychological problem. Because had I been in an actual real number of contracts, 700 ticks on 5 contracts, I don't even know. I don't want to do the math right now. And this was on the NQ, so. But it's like, I kept shooting myself in the foot and losing over and over again because I was scared, and that's a psychological problem. And I tried to say, oh, I don't have a problem. But the reality was I absolutely had a problem. Um, but I wouldn't admit it. And so yeah, I mean, I'm coming face to face with my issues right here, right now, and it's scary. Like, it's scary knowing that, here's the thing. What's my mantra? And then my Bible verse. So, my mantra, I'm not proving anything. I'm not escaping anything. I'm not trying to escape my life. I don't need to prove that I'm good or bad or anything. Um, all I'm here to do is just do the work, till the ground, plant the seeds, you know, because this is tilling the ground and planting the seeds, that's hard work. And coming in every single day and having to watch this and not press any buttons until you see a setup is actually challenging. Many times I was like, I could have taken that. Yeah, a lot of times. Just follow the process. But the problem with trading is you can follow your process and still lose. And it's a big, you ever play like a video game and you you're doing everything right, and then somebody comes in and just like destroys you. And like, let's say you're playing, like I play PUBG, battle royale games, and it's like I could be literally, for example, I was playing a match literally this morning. I took out a team of 4. There were 3 people all standing there shooting at me, and I took out all 3 of them. Another one comes running up, took that person out too. But then the end of the game is nearing, and there's just a few people left, and I took out one person, and then somebody else just got me, and I'm just like, why? I was doing so good. And sometimes it's frustrating, it's like I was, the MVP on the team. I earned that win. I should have earned the win. But sometimes you don't, sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you think you're playing, somebody else can still take that win from you, and you kind of feel helpless, especially when your gun won't reload, or your computer, not computer, but your phone freezes. And that's the thing with trading, is that a lot of things can happen that you just didn't win. And, for example, on my verse Colossians 3, 3:23, whatever you do as if you're doing unto the Lord. And it's like, sure, I can log into my work computer and work and go to work and do my thing. But when it comes time to log in and work, as far as like trading work, here's the thing. When I log into my work computer, guess what? I'm getting paid for existing. I'm getting paid just to be there, right? I could have a bad day at work, emails are coming in, people are mad, um, boss wants paperwork done, or this needs to get done, or I missed this, or I had to take the dog to the vet and lost a couple hours and I have to, make up for it. You know, a lot of things can happen in trading. I'm sorry, in the day, right? But at the end of the day, I still got a paycheck. At the end of the day, I still got a paycheck. And so I could have a bad day, but it's not a big deal, right? 'Cause like, yeah, still get paid. Might have been a rough day, have a better day tomorrow. Still got paid. And that's the thing with trading is you can have a bad day. You can have a bad day in trading and not get paid. And you can even have a good day in trading and not get paid. That's the thing about that's so hard about showing up is that you could literally show up and show up every single time. You could show up every single time and not get the reward from it. And that's the thing that makes trading so difficult. That's the thing that makes trading so difficult is to know that you can work so hard and not see any fruits of that, no reward from it. And it's like working a job that that doesn't pay you. Um and yeah, it can be frustrating. It can be really, really frustrating. Um but it's part of the process. And until I can detach from the money and detach from the emotional aspects that are causing me to want to size down and to want to do X, Y, and Z, until I can fix the emotional problems, I'm going to keep struggling, right? Because I'm going to do the same thing over and over again where I'm going to do the same thing over and over again where I'm going to be like, "Oh, okay. Um well, yeah, the same thing over and over and over." And goodness. What was I saying? I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, I could have um the same process where I pass an account and then I get up to the buffer and then I stall out every time, and I've been doing that over and over, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Just like mentally exhausting, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of chasing those couple of dollars just so I can feel like less of a failure. Yeah, people say that trading, you know, you go to school, let's say you go to college, right? Typically, you go to college, you get a degree, takes you how many years? Like 4 years to get a degree, like, a bachelor's degree. Well, in that time, you had to pay tuition, you had to pay all your fees and all of this stuff. It wasn't cheap. But at the end of 4 years, you have a degree. And it's very similar with trading, except that it's not. It's very similar, it's except that it's tricky. You see, with trading, yeah, it's like you're paying into, like, whenever you're buying accounts and all this stuff, it's like you're paying your tuition fees. But here's the thing, at the end of 4 years, you could still not have your degree, but that's not because you didn't work hard. No, 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 no. Actually, you could not have your degree simply because you didn't apply yourself. And I've been doing this for 2 years, and I'm just now figuring out, wait, I shouldn't be chasing the money. I'm just now figuring that out because this whole time I've been chasing dollar signs and I've been chasing this and that. the whole time. Okay, we're right up at that line. Um, Not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping that we would go all the way back down and then start chopping around, and then I wouldn't have to face the potential of having a decision to make, and yet here we are. So there's that. Okay, we're about to create our 15-minute range. I'd like to see what happens at once we create our 15-minute. We're right below. I'd like to see a big push up. Let me get my trading panel opened. Big push up, not just sitting. We're just sitting. We're pushing. Maybe we're below it now. We wicked above. Pushing. We have about 25 seconds before this closes. So let's see where it closes. Big push up. I want to see us close above and then a pullback, and that will be your entry. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, now we're going to be looking for that pullback. Got a nice red candle, but I want to see an actual pullback. That was not it, unfortunately. It was a nice little pull, but it wasn't what we wanted. Focus on the process. Just follow your heart. That is a big wick that we are forming. We have about 20 seconds until this one closes. I don't have any sort of a pullback. Let's see, where are we with volume? Volume is still kind of low. I mean, we haven't had a significant increase. Okay, there's your 15-minute range. So the 15-minute range is formed just above volume is staying pretty much in the, the 1000s. We're not getting a ton of volume coming in. We're getting some little pulls, but they're just not giving us that one brick pullback that we want to see over here. Where are we? Right here. It's not giving us that pullback that I want to see. Nice push, but I want to pull back. There you go, another big push up. Just wish we could have gotten a pullback near here, so we could not get it. We're just gonna run, I guess. We got more volume coming in. We're at 2,000, 3,000. That's where your volume was. Once we pushed out of here and we just ran away from this, and that's when you saw the volume come in. So I'm going to make a note of that. Volume came in after, volume came in after that 15-minute range had formed. Yep, volume came in after the 15-minute range formed. We're not getting, this might be one of those days where it just goes and goes and you don't get a pullback because yeah, it just doesn't want to. It's just gonna keep going. Lot of buying coming in. Lot of buying coming in. And we're not. Volumes increased up to 4,000. We still have not gotten our valid pullback, unfortunately. There you go. There's your pullback. That's the pullback you want to see, although I wish it would pull more than it did. Here we go. Oh, I thought we were going to keep going. Okay. There's your... No, 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 no. I can't buy there. What? Ugh. It formed that too quickly. I couldn't get in. Let's see. I literally could not get in there. I blinked and it formed another brick. Okay. There we go. Yeah, there was no opportunity to enter that. As you could see, I literally blinked and it completely reversed. Well, not reversed. It just kind of ran away within seconds. So, there was literally, there's your entry and buy. That's your
Order filled.
oops. I don't have a stop loss. No, that was an accident. Okay. I did not have a stop loss there. That's really bad. I almost want to close out of this because we don't have a stop loss. I'm going to close.
Order filled.
Wow. Okay. I forgot to press all of these buttons. Also, I don't remember it saying order filled before. Okay, that was bad. Me. I did not have a stop loss placed. That was really bad. Okay. All right, so we entered off this one and it didn't go. We're going to keep coming down, it looks like. Yeah, it's a good thing I was able to get out of that trade. Yeah, it just completely turned around. Keeps coming all the way back down. That is okay. Yep, it's gonna come all the way back down. Unfortunately, I have 8 minutes until my meeting. We're all the way back down to the top of the 15-minute. All right, so let's look at what the CVD is doing. So we had a lot of volume come in right off of the push out of the 15-minute, but then it completely just flipped back over and it all started selling. Now we're getting some buying. Yikes. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, volume's just kind of low, and let's see where we got to. I think that's probably in line with yesterday. Let's zoom out just a bit. Oh, yes. This is the high, new high, and then, so we're right down, or back, right back down here. So now we just came and touched off of this. Coming back to it. I'd like to see us buy or not. Let's see, volume's holding steady. So we're right back into the 15-minute range, right at the top of the pre-market. All right, so let's recap this because I have a meeting in literally like 4 minutes and I don't know what we're doing right here. Um, so basically we pushed off of this nicely. We never got our 10, we never got the pullback that I was looking for. We got a couple of tails, but we never got that pullback. We had this pullback right here, at which point I wanted to enter for a continuation. However, yeah, we pulled and then there was no opportunity to enter this. There was no opportunity to enter. It just kind of jumped. So then we jumped down again and we got another green. This is where I entered. Actually, I entered kind of above, got a bad entry. So this is where I entered because I'm like, okay, maybe that was our last chance, last ditch effort to get in that push, which is probably what a lot of people were thinking. Hence, yeah. So it didn't go clearly and pushed all the way back down to the top of the range into the 15-minute. We're getting another push off. Again, if we can get a pullback, and that's the thing, we need to get a pullback before we can enter. Because I like this push, but the push is not allowing for pullbacks to enter, and that's the same thing that happened here. There's just no pullback opportunities happening. And then when they did happen here, it was way too late. It was too late. That was the problem. We had a much deeper pullback before it actually ended up, we're pushing away again, but who knows for how long. Yeah. Uh-oh, somebody started the meeting. Anyways, I'll still be here for probably another 30 minutes because my meetings don't go that long. But I'm curious to see what this does. All right, so as you can see, I took that trade. Um, I entered right here, with the expectation because I saw we pushed off of this really nicely. And so we got a nice push down. I was really looking for because we came back to this moving. Testing, testing. Okay, yeah, so we came back to this moving average, and I'm like, okay, if we respect this, we'll push off. But obviously, we didn't. Within a matter of seconds, we just slammed right back down. At least I had my stop loss this time, which I did not before. Um, but yeah, we still have very low volume, and we did not respect this. We pushed off of it, we came back to it, we pushed off of it, and then we came all the way back down here. So, I don't know what to tell you. It's one of those kind of days, I guess. Um, yeah, so there was a valid setup, very valid setup, and a loss. There was another. This was, I wouldn't say this was a valid setup per initial setup, but I really thought we were going to respect this since we rejected it and pushed, and then we did not. We just came all the way back down. Um, so so yeah, it's what is this even looking like? Because I don't even want to know. Okay, we're back below our buffer now. So within a matter of two trades, and they weren't even like bad specifically. It was just not good specifically. Exactly. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, if we could push above this again, I would try to go for one more buy, but we've failed buying so many times. Um, Even with a clean, that was a clean entry. Um, yes, it was a clean entry. It was kind of away from the mark, and I did note that I would have liked, if a pullback, for example, this pullback, beautiful. But then, this one happened. We're so far away from our moving average. It's like, okay, well, I don't even know. So I don't know. I don't know. We might just continue selling from here because we've been buying a lot. Um, there was news today, but the news didn't do a whole lot of anything dramatic. So yeah, again, I don't know. I don't know. That's again, there was no FOMO trading. It was not. It was literally wait for the pullback. We did enter. It just didn't go. And then the next one, we got a push away, and that's why I entered, not because it had just broken. Because I mean, we missed that point. All right, meeting's still going on, but I thought I'd pop in real quick. So, as you can see, right, so we took a couple of trades. One of them followed the rules, the other one, I saw this bounce clear power candle off of this exactly right through there, but it just couldn't hold. Yeah, so I did switch to sells. I mean, I didn't start selling, but I switched to a potential sell when we got down here, but then we just bounced off. So now we're just kind of bouncing around, not doing a whole lot of anything. Um, we're at the end of our hour. Not that I trade specifically within an hour time frame, but we're at that hour. Um, One second. Yeah, and we're just lot of movement, low volumes, especially as compared to yesterday, low volume. It's just that um that one that we got just wasn't there, and I stupidly did not even have a stop loss or take profit or anything. I didn't press the buttons. I still got out. I don't know at how much. I wasn't really paying attention to that. Um, yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to that. But yeah, and then the second time I'm like, okay, we're bouncing. Clean, clean, clean bounce. Nope. Because where was my entry right there? Yeah, so we got this push. Oh, yeah, so we got this push up. We got pulled back down, and then we got this push. I'm like, okay, this is the one that's gonna go, right? Nope, all the way back into it. And now we're all the way at the bottom. And now we're just chopping around between the bottom of the pre-market and the bottom of the 15 minute. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that as far as like what that means exactly. And I don't know if CPI news had anything to do with it because all of this is pretty low on the volume. This is pretty low volume. I don't know if, our news had something to do with the rest of the day. Again, these are things that we need to track, right? Because if we have another CPI news day, does the same thing happen, right? So, that's why we're here to gather information based um, off of what's actually happening at these levels during these days. And that's, it isn't a loss because we still have our data. And the data said, nope, that didn't go. And then the next one, um, even though we had a clean push, still didn't go. Yeah, I mean, we could wait for it to break. The whole point is you want to see some sort of uh movement, like you want to see momentum and yeah, no, yeah, we're not getting that. Um yeah, we're just not getting the momentum isn't there. The volatility isn't there. We're respecting the levels. We've respected this a couple times. We bounced off of it. were respecting um, this level. We broke through it and we came up and retested it, and then we came down. This is almost like perfect support and resistance. Our high acted, we broke it, and then it was this was our um support resistance, which then became support, and then it became resistance again, and then we have support, remaining support. So yeah, it's respecting the levels. That much is true. It's even respecting this. It's respecting the levels, but it's not behaving around the levels like I'd want to see is like a clean break this way, clean break that way. It's not doing any of that. It's just kind of trending within the range, trending up, down, up, down, up, down, sideways up. Yeah. Oh no. It's that is the day. And I try to do 2 trades and then done. So we are done for the day. Down 2100. So lost the buffer. Don't know whether or not um Apex is gonna send me an email. They probably will. Oh, they will. Yeah, but I will, we'll just come back tomorrow. Same thing. I think a loss is good for me because I had how many winning days in a row, and I come in and now we got losing 2 losses back to back in the same day. Um, and really, this was the main one, and it just could not hold. Like it just couldn't. Um, it just couldn't. One thing I do notice is when we broke back in to the range, right? When we broke back in, we had a pullback. Yeah, we broke back into the range. We had a pullback up to here, and then we dropped down again, you know. Again, I don't know what all of that means as far as the strategy goes, because yeah, I mean, we're respecting the levels, but we're just not trading at them as we should. Like we're not expanding away from the levels. That's the word. There's no expansion. Let me wait till my meeting's over so I can actually go into a little bit more depth. 1 second. All right, so I just broke down, everything that happened to ChatGPT to help, break down what all of this means. Instead of just looking at it, we're going to actually break down what happened and then, be able to move on. Because, like I said, again, I'm not proving anything. This is not a furnace escape. We're tilling the ground, planting the seeds. This is just work. Follow the process. We did follow the process, couldn't enter there, followed again, but just no follow through. And then really tried here, um, which was not the prime setup we were looking for, but I did like this, and I'm not gonna talk bad on this move because it was valid. It's not my fault there wasn't any follow through. Again, we are trading near all-time highs. Oh, and I forgot to tell ChatGPT this. Again, all right, so let's break this down so we can all go home. So, effectively, I'm just gonna read what this says. So, um, let's reframe the entire session through the all-time high context because all-time highs behave very different than normal breakout days, which is what we're seeing clearly here. Okay, so all-time highs change the rules quietly. At all-time high, there is no overhead resistance, but there's also maximum incentive to distribute. Longs are profitable already. Shorts are cautious but aggressive on failure. So the market becomes extremely sensitive to acceptance versus rejection, participation versus liquidity grabs. At all-time highs, breaks without acceptance fail fast, and that's what we saw here. A break. Yeah, that's what we saw here was a break, but there was no acceptance, and the volume was extremely low. We'll get into that. Your breakout wasn't just a breakout, it was an all-time high test. When price broke pre-market high, broke 15-minute range, tagged a new record high barely, then wasn't a trend continuation signal. That was the market asking, is anyone willing to pay higher than all prices that have ever traded? And the answer was no, not with size. That explains the behavior perfectly. Why the move looked strong, right? It looked strong, very nice push all the way out. Um, mm, but had no follow through. Uh, at all time highs, you often get sharp impulse moves. Uh-huh. Stop runs, FOMO, liquidity grabs, followed by immediate lack of continuation, followed by rotation back into value. That's exactly what you described. Fast spike, no entry, shallow pullback, fragile, second pullback, failure, immediate drop back into the range. Exactly. Okay, and then we're gonna talk about this. Um, okay. Yes, that's not random, that's auction failure at extremes. Reevaluating your two trades with ATH context. Okay. Trade one, late pullback after 100 tick. At all-time high, 100 tick expansion, which is what this was, 100 tick expansion without volume, because really there wasn't a whole lot of volume there. Without volume expansion is a warning, not a green light. What you traded was continuation after the auction already asked its question. That makes the odds thin, not wrong, just thin. So the odds of it continuing with low volume were just very thin odds. That's good information, right? Because this is all good information, right? Because we can take this and we can build upon it and avoid days like this when we're at an all-time high in the future. Okay, so trade two, power candle, EMA pullback. So this is where we had a power candle right here. So this one is clear in hindsight. At an all-time high, single power candle above the prior high is not proof. What matters is holding above the level, building value above it, volume staying elevated. None of that happened. So the power candle was likely stops, late longs, liquidity for selling. Your intuition already flagged. You said it didn't break, come back and break again. That's the ATH filter talking, which is our all-time high filter talking. At the all-time high, failed breakouts don't trend the other way. They rotate. Why? Shorts take profits quickly, longs defend value, no urgency to move price. Instead of collapse, you get pre-market high flipping rolls, pre-market low holding, chop inside value, which is exactly what you saw. We're chopping inside value. All of this. Okay. What this means for your A plus D minus framework. Today is a B minus C plus day structurally, even though it looks like an A setup, why it is not an A plus. All-time high environment, break without acceptance, volume did not persist, immediate rejection back into range, no directional follow through. This is exactly the kind of day you want your future spreadsheet to flag as looks good early, statistically poor continuation. The most important psychological re-anchor. Here's the reframe. You want to internalize. You didn't fail at all-time high. You correctly participated in the auction, and the auction said, not today. You listened not by forcing more trades afterwards. That's not anxiety, that's discipline under uncertainty. One rule you may want to test, not adopt yet, just something to observe going forward. At all-time high, require either two consecutive acceptance candles above prior high or sustained volume expansion after the break. No acceptance equals treat all pullbacks as lower confidence attempts, not A plus. Don't change anything yet. Just watch. You're not broken. Your strategy's not broken. Today was an all-time high liquidity test that failed quietly. That's a very different thing than you messed up. If you want, next we can translate this into explicit spreadsheet columns or define what A plus all-time high day actually looks like today so that you're not guessing in real time. But that's the truth of the matter is we were at all-time high. We tested it. We tested above it and we failed, right? We tested above it and we failed. And that's not, that's, the auction failed. Seeing if people are willing to buy up here and they weren't, right? So when it failed quickly, right? It failed very quickly. Then we had that nice push and then it failed really fast. We're selling a lot faster than we're buying. And the reason is because, we're at an all-time high. So anybody that was in a long is at some profit at this point. So people are going to be more willing to take profits than they are to try to gamble that we could push higher. And since we failed a couple of times now, we may just settle into this range where there's value. Anyways, so that concludes, what was that, in about we're not 2 hours in yet, but yeah, so not a bad day, not great as far as from a profit taking standpoint, not great, but also not terrible. Not terrible. Honestly, it wasn't terrible. It just didn't do what we wanted it to, and I think a big part of that has to do with the fact that we're literally at we're literally just in this weird spot. Weird spot. Yeah, just in a weird spot, and the volume is just, it's low compared to yesterday. It's very low because yesterday we were trading at, where were we? Let's see, we were over here. Yeah, yesterday, look, we were in the 10, 11, 12 thousands. And both of those were actually decent. Like, yes, there was some spikes and some weird stuff going on, but it was still semi decent. Semi decent. We have a lot lower volume and just not a lot of follow through participation. Which is fine, which is totally fine. Because, yeah, I mean, the only thing, the only thing you can do is follow the process, okay? And sometimes you're just not gonna get paid for it. And that's the hard thing about trading. And this is why a lot of people don't trade, because of specifically this reason. It's not easy. It's not, it's not easy to come in on the daily, especially like yesterday when I had to go, walk the dog before a meeting, and then in that time I missed out on a trade, and then I was in the middle of a meeting, missed out on a trade. Then I'm over here right before a meeting, lost the trade. But you can't change that. But yeah, so okay, right else. Okay, so here we go. We don't need that part, we need this. Okay, so first one, and let's do our notes so we can be done. So right here, we couldn't enter. This was your first valid pullback, but let me also note this. First, I'm gonna note a couple of things. New all-time high. So this is a new all-time high. Breaking yesterday's high. Okay, so new all-time high, breaking yesterday's high. 100 tick expansion with after PM break. Low CVD in 1 to 2 Ks. First pull back, no entry. Price moved too fast. Second pull was immediate failure. Okay. Then let me draw an arrow. Wait, first let's draw a circle. And then let's draw an arrow. Okay, it's right. No, it's right here. Okay. Came back to top of PM. High power candle off. Pull back to 21 EMA. Entered but no CVD participant. All right, so here's what we got. So we have new all-time high, breaking yesterday's high, 100 tick expansion after PM break, low CVD in 1 2 Ks, first pullback, no entry, price moved too fast, second pull was immediate failure, came back to top of pre-market high, power candle off, pullback to 21 EMA, entered but no CVD participation, immediate rejection at price, and back into range, which is basically everything that happened. So I'm gonna do one more thing. Major flags on the day. So our major flags on the day are gonna be this: CPI, no increase in participation at all-time highs. Yeah, those are our major flags on the day. Will be this. See if we can move this a tad bit over. Yeah, see, we're just calmly, you're staying in the range. That's all we're doing. Okay. Yep. So that is a very messy looking day. But yeah, I mean, let's take a screenshot, download, and then let's go over here. I got all my notes on the other thing. Wednesday. Okay, so now let's just move this and then we'll be done. Like, is it hard taking two back-to-back losses? Absolutely. You know, I'd be lying if I said, oh, that doesn't bother me at all. But that's the whole point. It shouldn't bother me. And yet, the fact that I have to tell myself it doesn't bother me says that it does. And that's one of the issues that I need to work on is, um, you know, these things happen. They do happen. And at the same time, we're still working on a strategy, right? Because what we have right now is not officially a strategy, it's data. We're here collecting data to find an edge, right? The strategy is kind of, you know, it's not cemented in stone. What we're looking for is not a specific do this, do that, don't do that. We're looking for the edge. When is this most likely to work? Because that's when we want to be trading, not. And so clearly at all-time highs is not a great place to be, you know, looking for a breakout expansion, you know, because there was briefly no pullback and then the pullback flipped into a reversal. So that gives me very clear data. Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Okay, it does give me very clean data. So um even though it's not positive, right? Even though we weren't up on the day, guess what? That we still have information. This is still giving us information whether you like it or not, whether you like the results or not. It doesn't change the facts. Doesn't change the facts. Um okay. Yeah. Yep. So there you have it. Notes, lines, etc., etc. Well, okay. You know, tomorrow we also have news. What do we have tomorrow? Let's check. Tomorrow we have PPI. So there's that. Okay, yeah, so tomorrow we have news as well. So we'll see if some of the same things happen tomorrow. Um, and then we'll go from there. We'll go from there. I remember when gold was back in the 3,000s. Now it's in the high 4,000s. Okay. So yeah, we'll go from there, but that is all, folks. Yep, gonna do some, I don't want to say meditating, but definitely going to definitely going to do some reflection because that helps. But yeah, I mean, watch us get a clean break later and into the afternoon. Honestly, I don't know. It could happen, but I'm not gonna be there for it. So I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here all day waiting for something, waiting for a little something something to happen. Like, just no. So yeah, that's all. Did I write that down? Oh, 228. Okay, there we go. And we're done.